You have done so much. You have raised the children, or carried the household, or built the career no one thought you could build. You have buried what you've had to bury and kept walking anyway. And still, late at night when the house is finally quiet, some small voice keeps a ledger. It tallies what you didn't finish, who you let down, how far behind you still are. You are, by every honest measure, enough. And somehow you have never once been allowed to feel it. If that quiet voice just got a little louder reading those words, that is not an accident. Stay close. There is an old reason for it, older than this realm. And the moment you truly see it, the ledger begins to lose its grip on you. In Emberhollow, we have a name for her. We call her the seeker who carries the ledger. She is one of the most capable women in the whole realm, and she is the one most certain she has not yet done enough to deserve her place in it. You may be this seeker, or you may know her. She may be your mother, your sister, your closest friend. Either way, this story is for both of you. Let me show you where her ledger came from, and then let me show you gently how she finally sets it down. When she was very young, the seeker learned a quiet rule. Love came when she was good. Praise came when she was useful. And so she became good, and she became useful, and she became fast, because the moment she rested, the warmth seemed to cool. No one was cruel to her. That is the part she could never explain. They loved her. They simply loved her more when she achieved, and a child cannot tell the difference between being loved when she does well and being loved only when she does well. So she made herself a ledger. On one side, everything she gave. On the other, the debt she always seemed to owe. And she carried it through every gate of her life. She crossed the domain of labor, and they said, "Well done." And she heard, "Now, do more." She crossed the domain of devotion, gave years to people she loved, and when they thanked her, she only noticed the one she hadn't reached. She stood at the edge of the next domain, the brightest one, the one meant for her own becoming. And there she stopped, because the ledger was open, and the ledger said, "Not yet, not enough, not you." I want to stop the story here because this is the part I lived for years, and maybe you have too. Here is what is actually happening, and it has a name. The old psychologist Carl Jung had a word for the self we build to be accepted. He called it the persona, the mask. He said the persona is what a person is not, but which they and everyone around them believe they are. For our seeker, the persona is the one who is always capable, the one who is fine, the one who does enough. It started as a survival tool. It became the only face she could find in the mirror. And there is a more recent name for where the ledger comes from. The psychologist Carl Rogers called them conditions of worth, the quiet conditions a child absorbs about when she is lovable. I am worthy when I achieve. I am worthy when I don't need anything. I am worthy when no one is disappointed. A bright, sensitive child learns those conditions faster than anyone, and then spends decades trying to satisfy a list she never agreed to. So when you ask, why do smart women never feel good enough? Here is the honest answer. It was never about whether you had done enough. The ledger was designed so the column never balances. You could win every domain in the realm, and the voice would simply say, "And the next one." You were never not enough. You were only never told where the finish line was, because there isn't one. There was never a line to cross. There was only a voice that learned, a long time ago, to keep you running. Now let me give you back 3 things you have been calling your flaws, because from where I'm standing, they are the most beautiful things about you. 1. The relentless measuring. You think the constant self-assessment is proof something is wrong with you. It is the opposite. You measure because you care whether you do this well. A careless woman never lies awake. The measuring was never evidence of your failure. It is evidence of your depth. The trick is not to silence it. It is to stop letting a frightened child hold the scales. 2. The too much. You were told you feel too much, think too much, want too much. But what they called too much is simply a wider instrument. You hear notes other people miss. In Emberhollow, we do not ask the deep water seeker to become a puddle so others feel comfortable. We ask her to stop apologizing for the depth. 3. The unfinished. You believe the unfinished pile is your shame, but the woman with 12 unfinished works is not lazy, she is full, more lived inside her than one lifetime could complete. Jung called the lifelong work of becoming yourself individuation, and he said the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Notice the word, a privilege, not a debt, not a quota. A privilege you are already living, right now, unfinished and all. I want to ask you to do one small thing, and not for me. Somewhere in your life there is a moment you decided you weren't enough, and you have never once said otherwise out loud. So leave one word in the comments below. Enough. Not for me, and not to convince anyone. Just, perhaps for the first time, to write it on the side of the ledger that has always stayed blank. One word. Enough. And you may find you are far from the only seeker who needed to set it down. If this is reaching you at the right moment, you can tap the like. Let it stand as a small mark that something here landed for you. And if you want to keep walking this path with us, the lantern's lit. You're always welcome here. But I'm not going to flatter you, because you'd feel it if I did. Setting the ledger down is not a single beautiful moment. It will not happen because you watched a video, and it will not stay down the first time. The voice that kept you running kept you safe once. It earned its place. So it will come back, at the next gate, in the next quiet house, the next time someone is disappointed in you. And here is the part no one tells the capable woman. When you finally stop overgiving, some people will be unhappy. The ones who loved the ledger more than they loved you. Losing their approval is not you failing again. It is the toll on the road to your own becoming. A seeker doesn't become worthy at the next gate. She remembers she was worthy at the first one. That's not a feeling you earn. It's a truth you return to, a little more each time you choose it. So picture her now. She is still at the gate, but this time she opens the ledger one last time, and instead of reading the debt, she reads the giving, the loaves, the years, the roofs mended in the rain, the people who are warm tonight because she was cold for a while. And she steps into the brightest domain, not as a woman who became enough, but as a woman who remembered she always was. Imagine waking up tomorrow and not measuring how far behind you are. Not because you finished the list, but because you finally saw there was never a list to finish. That woman is not someone you have to become. She is who you have always been, underneath everything you've been carrying. So set the ledger down, even for tonight. Until then, seekers, walk gently, be kind, and remember, you are already enough. The best self you seek is already inside you.